who is Nick Fuentes and why are we supposed to hate him? Let's let Miss Dangerfield explain who he is first. What?
All right. Nothing.
Okay,
I just like Amy.
Okay, here we go.
This guy might be the most controversial person on the internet right now.
Nick Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes, this child, this weird little gay kid in his basement.
Will you ever be willing to debate Nick Fuentes?
He's on a generational run.
You know, of course he's passionate. He's 26. He's doing his thing.
His face is everywhere on YouTube these days, but he's not actually allowed to use that platform himself. He's being denounced as a neo-Nazi and white supremacist, but his videos have gotten airtime on CNN. He's declared himself America first long before it was cool, but most of the core MAGA base actually can't stand him. He's spent years as a pariah on the right wing, yet once he had dinner with President Trump. He describes himself as a devout Catholic, but then goes viral for saying the N-word and denying the Holocaust.
I'm the realest Nick on the internet.
From a tiny, single-camera studio, he's launched feuds with some of the biggest names in media and ratioed the richest man in the world multiple times at this point. He has been doxxed, deplatformed, debanged. He's even survived an assassination attempt, all before the age of 30. Some say he's a Fed, some say he's the future of the right. And his name is Nick Fuentes. And
okay. Do you see it? She's doing a little...
I can't unsee it now. Damn it. I was fine.
Okay. So I've heard of him before. But it's hard to see what he actually believes because, like Amy was saying, he's been banned from everywhere. And I don't feel like going to go actually search for him, but I've seen clips of him pop up here and there. Here are 2 clips of him that I found that I thought were pretty interesting that I wanted to show you.
Banning gay marriage is back on the menu. Banning sodomy is back on the menu. Banning contraceptives is back on the menu. And basically, we're having something like Taliban rule in America, in a good way.
Okay. So, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that one?
It's interesting. Why? Because of their...
We were talking about this previously, right?
Rule.
Here's my thing. So what he is saying is the Taliban bans gay marriage. The Taliban bans this. The Taliban bans that. We are also banning that. Therefore, we're taking the good parts of the Taliban and we're applying it to us. I think that's what he's saying.
Sure. But people are not going to receive it that way.
But you can't blame him for others' incompetence. It's not his fault people can't understand things.
Fair.
No, I largely disagree with that, actually.
Fair,
I do think... No, I just... Wait, hold up. No, don't say fair, because I do... My counter argument to that would be, no, if you're presenting something, you do have a duty to present it as clearly as possible.
Right.
Otherwise, you are just provoking people for the sake of provoking people, which does seem like that's what he's doing, especially based off of this next clip.
Simple yes or no answer. Hitler, good guy, bad guy?
That's a top. Well, there are no good and bad guys. They're just people.
But that's not true, dude.
It is true.
I mean, so if you had to check one box...
I'm going to say I'm neutral on that. I'm abstaining from that.
There's no neutral.
You're saying that Hitler was not a bad guy?
I think that, it's
But then you're questioning why people may not want you talking? I'm giving you a platform.
Look, if we're going to say Hitler bad, then I'm going to say Churchill bad, and I'm going to say Roosevelt bad, and I'm going to say they're all bad. But if we look at him as a product of his time in that moment, we have to judge him with those things in mind. That's all.
That last part, I largely agree with. We need to judge them as a product of his time, look at him in what was happening during that time. But the problem is when you do that, even with Hitler, it's very easy to say he was a bad person. There is no back then killing Jews was acceptable. Like that, what? No, that's right. No matter what, if you look at history, Hitler was a bad person. That's where he gets it wrong, in my opinion. Because then I hate when they do that too. They go to Churchill and Roosevelt because they largely were credited for killing, or I think, what was it, like Churchill had something where he caused a famine somewhere and he knew he was going to happen, but he still let it happen. but it was for the greater good as far as I remember. Something along those lines.
That's the difference, is the intent of what you're trying to do.
Hitler was literally losing the war, and instead of redirecting resources to try to win the war, he kept he focused resources on killing more Jews rather than, hey, let's try to win this war because I know I'm losing. That is a genuine bad person. Like, there's no way around that. So that's where I'm like, okay, this kid is clearly saying stuff to provoke.
It seems like it, yes.
So it largely does seem like he has some good points. He does think about things, but he's provocative. He wants to provoke.
Kid's provocative. Yes.
Yeah. The reason why we're bringing this up is because we saw it first on Her Take. We see that they did a segment on Nick, and we thought it'd be interesting. So here's what Her Take summarized Nick Fuentes to be. Like the bad stuff. So he has terrible rhetoric. He's a devout Catholic, I guess in the wrong way, I guess. He's known for saying the N-word recreationally. He denies the Holocaust, and by that, he says that 6 million Jews didn't die. Apparently, he's racist, and Anna says he's an anti-Semite. Amy seems more reluctant to say he is, so I thought that was interesting. But okay, let's go through them one by one, though. As far as the terrible rhetoric, I think that's pretty clear. Yes, he uses terrible rhetoric.
Provocative, yeah.
But do you think just because somebody says something mean, that means we shouldn't take them seriously or we should ban them from places?
Absolutely not. I mean, you pay attention to them a little bit more, right? If they're being absolutely stupidly, if it's stupid, mean rhetoric, you might not have to give them enough, but I would still give them a little extra attention.
Even if it's stupid, mean rhetoric, as long as the argument is sound, makes sense, and is correct.
The thing with that, like, I get it, but not... First and foremost, he's provocative, right? And it's a bad rhetoric. So not a lot of people are going to give him the benefit of the doubt, or at least give his argument the benefit of the doubt to see what it is he's trying to say.
Right.
But despite that, like, only a select few people will actually dive into what he's saying. Like the whole Hitler thing he just did.
To play devil advocate, what I would say is when somebody says something provocatively, it grabs your attention, and as long as it's correct, it does kind of stay with you, in my opinion, and it makes you think about it more. Especially if it's provocative.
And not couldn't you say something and not be provocative? Because now
you can, but what I'm saying
have a bad look.
But what I'm saying is it might not stick with you as much. If I just say something well said or whatever,
right,
versus if I use this provocative rhetoric, I do think one will stick in your mind more than the other.
Yes, but now he's always going to be tagged as a really bad person, Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. And to be clear, I do think you should just try to say something non-provocatively, and if it happens to be provocative but it's the truth, that's fine. But you should never
speak your way out of it.
But you should never find a provocative way to say things.
Correct.
So that I do think that's what Jordan Peterson did. Jordan Peterson would say things that were seen as provocative, but he was not saying them in a provocative manner. It's just people were offended by it.
Yes, that's a great example.
And it seems like Nick Fuentes is doing the opposite. Okay.
That's true.
But this brings us back to a previous episode, though. In a previous episode of our show, we said that the problem with the Red Pill Alpha Bro community is their rhetoric. It's not what they say. It's how they say it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so Nick Fuentes seems to be the same. And as far as the devout Catholic, I don't know.
I don't know anything about him, but there's also the issue with modern day. Yeah, there's an issue with modern day Christians, Catholics, where we say we are, but we're what's the word I'm looking for?
In my opinion, I say modernizing. You guys are modernizing for the times, trying to be more inclusive.
Oh, absolutely. It's certainly modernized.
Religion in and of itself is not inclusive, I don't think. I do think religion is highly exclusive. You need to follow these rules.
It's considerate, but it's not inclusive, if that makes sense.
Otherwise, you're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is fine.
I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know anything about this guy, so I can't agree or disagree with him being a devout Catholic. Okay. But what I get, he is not a devout Catholic.
Okay, what about he's known for saying the N-word recreationally. Satirists and I, we don't use the N-word. We never have. However, we have friends and we knew of people who used it recreationally and it wasn't that big of a deal. I do think it's just a word and it's ridiculous to be scared of a word. That being said, I am scared of said word and I don't say it.
It's not part of my normal day-to-day speak. I wouldn't. But one of my favorite movies, Rush Hour, like they got Jackie Chan saying it and it's a funny scene, right? And it's once upon a time it was normal. I'm not saying normalize the N-word, but
hot take: racism will end when the N-word is normalized. That's when racism will end. Just kidding, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but it's I don't know. What are we saying? Is it a bad thing to say it?
I don't know. Do you think it's a bad thing to say it recreationally? I think it's like any other word. It makes you look not good.
I do think it's a bad thing to say. It's just not a nice word to say, in my opinion.
But you also don't cuss.
It's derogatory.
Satiric
I don't cuss, and
doesn't
it's
cuss at
derogatory.
all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
rare
not.
that I do.
It's not derogatory. It's if you say it in a derogatory manner, sure, but it matters how you say it. If I'm over here and I call you, "What's up, my bitch?" Like I'm not saying that in a derogatory manner. You're not actually,
I feel like you're really trying to make an argument to say something like that. It's not derogatory because I said it differently. I said it with love. Like,
but I've sent you messages.
A word not worth saying.
I've sent you messages when I arrive at your house and I'm just like, "Here, bitch." Like, I don't do it often.
And what have I told you?
And I
what
do
have I
giggle.
responded?
I think you don't respond, but you come outside because I'm not saying it. Because I'm not saying it derogatorily.
Yeah, I know. I'll give pass to a lot of language, but it still just doesn't sound right in my opinion.
I agree. No, I agree with that. That's why I try not to cuss on camera while we're filming and stuff. I don't cuss through it here, but in my day to day, I do cuss. I just think I hear myself back though in the recording cussing, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound good. But
to each their own. It's just not
I'm a
my thing.
hypocrite. Okay. Anyways, the last accusation that was made against him is that Anna says he's an anti-Semite. So let's look at what she says to back this up, because I thought that was very interesting. The example that she gave.
Anna believes that he's a genuine anti-Semite.
He says he is.
Does he say?
Yeah.
Here,
let me
there's
hold on
no
real quick.
chance. It's like he's. I'm not familiar with that.
I don't watch his content.
I don't either.
So
I've never heard of him.
I wanted to make sure that I didn't smear him, even though I had my suspicions about who he really is. So I watched a bunch of his recent content, and the point of contention between him, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens. Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens on one side, Nick is on the other, right? So Tucker and Candace have been very critical of Israel.
Correct.
And Zionism, whereas Nick Fuentes, and this is what he said on a recent episode of his show, he's like, no, it's not just Israel, he says it's the Jews, right? So that's how he differentiates himself. So he's openly,
That's the example that Anna gives. So first she says he is. I'm thinking she's going to give an example in which he explicitly says he's an anti-Semite. But she gives an example in where he blames the Jews. That there's a difference there, right?
Right.
I do think it's a little disingenuous of Anna to say, oh, he says he is, and then brings up an example in which he didn't necessarily say that he was.
Right.
Okay, so given all this information that we've gone through right now, do you think Nick Fuentes is a bad person? Or should we hate him, I guess?
I don't hate him. I don't know if he's a bad person.
We don't know enough, right? I don't think you can make an argument here just based off of this. Again, we've done limited research. We might do an update.
I've never made my opinion on someone based off of somebody else's opinion. Right. I've got to go do my own research. And with all that I've heard, no.
You watch them, you watch their interactions, because we won't meet these people because we're not big enough or whatever, but so we can't make a judgment based off one-on-one. I think Candace actually says this, Candace Owens. She says, I don't like to judge people that I have not met in person yet. But she has the luxury of actually reaching out to people and being able to meet people. So we don't have that luxury. So we make judgments based off what we see online. But we do extensive research and we make sure to watch as much as possible before if we're going to formulate an opinion on somebody. What?
Have you actually ever hated somebody?
No.
That you've never met?
No, I don't see how you could.
It's same. Have you actually ever hated somebody? Period.
Probably not. I would say probably not. I've strongly disliked certain people, sure, but
same. Or I've just been very, very angry at certain people, but I don't think I've ever experienced hate. I don't know if those are the same thing. Sorry, it was just a random question I thought, because you asked that question. I think, well, no, I don't think anything will get me to hate this guy unless he clearly was just.
I mean, if he killed your mother, I think you'd hate him then.
Well, I mean, okay, sure. We go to the extreme. There are rare cases.
Yeah, sorry. I'm being ridiculous. You know me. Okay. I agree with you, though. It would take a lot for me to actually have such strong feelings against somebody and be to the point where I label it hate. Like, I can't imagine that. Especially somebody I don't know. That's crazy to me. That's why I don't understand the actual hate that Trump
But then
gets.
the arguments be like, oh, you guys just can't pick a side because you just don't want to seem like bad people. Like, well, no, this is just not enough to go off of.
I would for sure pick a side if I met him. If I met him, sat down,
I knew
and
who he was.
Conversed with him. I do think when you have a much more deep conversation with somebody and it's not surface level, it's much easier to make a judgment on whether or not they're a good or bad person.
Yeah. Do you think he's a white supremacist? And does he hate the Jews?
Again, I saw an interview he did with Candace, or a little podcast and talk. It does seem, because he explicitly says, I want my children to look like me. I don't think people should be in interracial marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And the reasoning that he gives is, when I leave my legacy will be my kids, and I want my kids to look like me, because if they don't, if I marry interracially and they don't look like me, it's like I never existed. My kids live on through me, but if they look differently than me, it's pretty much like I wasn't here. I don't know how much I buy that argument. It really doesn't.
I mean, the way your kids look have very little to do with your legacy.
You're right.
But they know your name, they know what you did. They always refer back to you as an individual. Your legacy will live on forever.
Exactly. So I just But so that almost seems like a cover.
It almost sounds like racism, and it's a cover.
Yeah, I was about to say. It almost sounds like he's trying to justify his racism, and he actually is racist. Yeah. So that part maybe. Does he hate the Jews? Again, the fact that he can't answer whether or not Hitler was good or bad, to me, is insane.
Yeah.
Either he's just trying to be provocative and he hasn't thought about it deeply enough, or I don't know, but it's just.
And the thing is, he's a devout Catholic, right?
Right.
And it's the Jews who essentially crucified Christ.
Sure.
So it could be stemming from that as well.
Yeah, it does sound like a.
But they don't teach hate against the Jews in the Catholic Church either. So don't get that twisted.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's
just for the viewers out there.
I thought you're talking to me. My bad. My fault. No. Hey, my bad, dude. All right.